Why do we keep falling into the same problems again and again? Why does it feel like no matter how hard we try, we end up right where we started? Have you ever promised yourself, this time I'll change, but a week later, you're back in the same loop? Imagine a man walking in a circle. Every day, he takes the same path, sees the same trees, hears the same sounds. One day, he realizes he's walking in a loop, but he keeps walking anyway. That's how our bad patterns work. They feel familiar. Even when they hurt us, we follow them again and again. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, a channel where ancient Buddhist teachings meet everyday life. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you want to live with more peace and power, you're in the right place. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribed. Can you believe that? So please, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. Let's break these patterns together, one mindful step at a time. Buddhism doesn't look at mistakes as sins. Instead, it teaches that our actions, good or bad, are results of causes. These causes are like seeds. If we plant a seed of anger again and again, it grows into a habit. That habit becomes a pattern, and that pattern starts to control our life. We may not even notice it. We react to people without thinking. We say things we regret. We chase things that don't matter. And then we wonder, why are we unhappy? The Buddha taught that the first step is to see. See the pattern. Notice how we think, how we speak, how we act. Without judgment. Just simple awareness. This is not about blaming ourselves. It's about understanding. A bad pattern is not you. It's just something you learned, maybe years ago. And anything that's learned can be unlearned. In Buddhism, this is called vipassana, seeing clearly. When you see clearly, even one small change can shift everything. Even just pausing before reacting, that's a victory. In this series, we'll explore how to do that, how to recognize the cycle, how to step out of it, and how to build a life that moves forward, not in circles. Let's begin this journey, slowly, mindfully, and with an open heart. Roots of repetition, how karma shapes habits. Sit down, gently. Close your eyes for a moment if you wish. Let the sound of this voice be your breath today. You are not here by accident. You've come because a pattern repeats in your life, again and again. And you're not alone. Now listen carefully. Have you ever wondered why you keep getting angry over the same kind of situation? Why you keep choosing people who hurt you? Or why you always quit before you finish? It's like life puts you in the same situation with different faces, different places, but the ending is always the same. You try to change. You make a strong decision. But after a few days or weeks, the old habit pulls you back. Why does this happen? Why is change so difficult? Let me tell you a truth as old as the mountains. Nothing in your life happens without a reason. Everything you do, say, and feel is shaped by invisible roots. Those roots go deep, very deep. And in Buddhism, those roots are called karma. But karma is not punishment. It's not some cosmic storekeeper waiting to hit you. No, karma simply means action. That's all. What you do, what you think, what you speak, these are your karmas. And each one plants a seed, like planting a tiny tree in the garden of your mind. Over time, those seeds grow. They turn into habits. And when habits repeat, they become your patterns. The way you react to someone who insults you. The way you feel jealous when someone else succeeds. The way you reach for comfort, maybe food, maybe gossip, maybe silence, when you're hurt. All of these are karmic patterns. You didn't choose them suddenly. They grew. Slowly. Over time. Maybe someone ignored you as a child. And now you over-explain yourself. Maybe you were never praised. And now, you chase success just to feel enough. Maybe you were shouted at often. And now, your body flinches at conflict, or you shout before others can. See how karma works? Every action is like a stone thrown into a pond. The ripples spread. Not just outward, but inward too. If you respond with anger today, that ripple will be there tomorrow too. If you respond with kindness, the ripple is soft and healing. Over years, those ripples shape the whole pond, your mind. So if you want to break the pattern, you must begin not by fighting the pattern, but by understanding the roots. Let's take an example. A young man struggles with laziness. No matter how much he plans, he can't follow through. He thinks he's weak. He feels guilty. He calls himself lazy. But if we look deeper, we may find that as a child, he was scolded for every mistake. So now, he avoids action out of fear. The root is not laziness. The root is fear. See, a woman constantly enters relationships that make her feel small. She keeps choosing the same kind of partner. She says, I have bad luck. But if we sit quietly and explore her past, we find a young girl who felt invisible at home. Her heart learned that love feels like pain. That's the root. Her karma is not her fault. It's simply a pattern growing from an old seed. So now you may ask, if karma is so deep, can I ever be free? Yes, absolutely yes. That is the power of the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha said, with awareness, karma can be transformed. You don't need to punish yourself for your past. You need to understand it, gently, slowly, like watching a river flow and learning how it moves. Once you see how your patterns were planted, you stop fighting them like enemies. You begin to unroot them with wisdom. But this takes patience. You cannot rip out a tree with your bare hands. You must soften the soil, water it, pull gently. In the same way, you must soften your judgments, water your mind with kindness, and pull each habit with clarity. Here is the good news. Karma is always moving. It is not fixed. That means, today, right now, you can plant a new seed. A new thought, a new reaction, a small pause, a smile where you used to complain, a breath where you used to explode. Even the tiniest shift breaks the pattern. Yes, it may not be dramatic, but it's real. It's powerful. In Buddhism, we are taught that the chain of suffering, called samsara, continues when we act without awareness. But if we place awareness into action, the chain breaks. So, next time you feel anger rise, watch it, don't follow it. When sadness grips your chest, sit with it, don't escape. When jealousy pokes your heart, smile at it gently. Let it teach you. This is karma work. This is pattern breaking. Not in violence, not in resistance, but in presence. Let me share something else. A Zen Master once said, when a bird sings, it does not worry about who is listening. When a flower blooms, it does not care if anyone sees. It simply expresses its truth. In the same way, don't try to break your pattern to prove something. Do it because your nature, deep inside, is already free. You are not born to live in loops. You were born to be awake. And remember, even the biggest mountains were once drops of rain. Even your strongest pattern began as one small reaction. So change begins with one small moment. Right now, this breath, this choice. Tomorrow, the old pattern may come again. That's okay. Smile at it like an old friend. But don't invite it to stay. Offer it tea, understand its story, and let it leave. This is the way of the Zen heart. Gentle, wise, aware. So my dear listener, don't be discouraged. If the roots are strong, the gardener must be patient. And you are that gardener. You are capable of growing new seeds, new habits, new life. This is not theory. This is practice. This is not quick. But it is real. This is not escape. It is transformation. And it starts not tomorrow, not next year. It starts right now. When you see your patterns clearly, you begin to walk a new path. Not because you must, but because you can. Let's continue. The loop of suffering, craving, aversion, and ignorance. Sit down, dear one. Take a deep breath. Let it fill your chest like a quiet lake fills with rain. Now breathe out. Slowly. Just be here for a moment. That's all I asked. Today, I will tell you something very old. Something as old as suffering itself. But I'll tell it to you in a way you can feel in your bones, not just understand with your mind. Let us speak of the loop. The loop that wraps around our lives like a soft chain, silent, invisible, and tight. Have you ever noticed how we chase what we like? How we run from what we don't like? And how often we are completely unaware of what's really happening inside us? This is the loop. These three things, craving, aversion, and ignorance, they are like the three legs of a pot. Take even one away, and the whole thing falls. But when all three are standing, the fire of suffering burns steadily underneath. The Buddha called this loop dukkha, a word that means suffering, discomfort, unsatisfactoriness. Not just physical pain, but the deeper unease of life. Even in moments of happiness, there's a shadow, a small whisper that says, will this last? Or worse, I want more. Let's begin with craving. Wanting. The hunger that never ends. Craving is not just about food, or money, or love. It can be the craving for attention, for control, for praise. It's the itch in your chest when your phone lights up, the thought that says, maybe it's them. It's the thought that says, if I just get that one thing, I'll be happy. But the moment we get it, what happens? We want something else. The goal moves. The mind says, now that you have this, go get that. And the race begins again. Craving makes us run. Faster and faster. We chase jobs, people, success, beauty, and we burn out. Like a moth chasing the flame, we move toward what we think will save us, only to find it burns. Then comes aversion, the second part of the loop. If craving is chasing pleasure, aversion is running from pain. We hate being uncomfortable. We avoid anything that feels difficult. Hard conversations, failures, loneliness, even our own thoughts. We push them away, pretend they aren't there. But what we avoid grows stronger in the dark. Think of anger. When someone hurts us, we don't just feel the pain. We build a wall. We say, I'll never forgive them. That's aversion. We hold on to that fire, and it burns us from within. Or fear. We fear rejection, loss, embarrassment. So we avoid risks. We avoid love. We avoid speaking up. And slowly, we shrink. Aversion is subtle. Sometimes it looks like strength. But often, it's fear wearing armor. It keeps us trapped, locked away from life. Now the third one, the most quiet and dangerous of all, ignorance. Ignorance is not stupidity. It's simply not knowing, not seeing clearly. It's like walking through fog. You think you're on the right path, but you can't really tell. You guess. You assume. You react. You believe your thoughts are truth. You believe your emotions are facts. And so, you suffer. Ignorance is when we don't understand the nature of life. That everything changes. That everything we cling to will one day be gone. That even the I we think we are is not fixed. Not permanent. Not solid. But shifting, changing, like a flame flickering in the wind. So here is the loop. We crave what we don't have. We push away what we don't like. We don't see clearly what is. And round we go. You may wonder, why is it like this? Why do we keep repeating this cycle? Because the mind believes these reactions keep us safe. Craving feels like hope. Aversion feels like protection. Ignorance feels like comfort. But in truth, they are chains dressed as friends. Let me give you a simple story. There was once a bird who lived in a cage. The door was always open, but the bird never left. Why? Because it was born inside the cage. It didn't know what the sky felt like. It saw the open door, but it was afraid. Afraid of what it didn't know. So it stayed, singing songs of freedom, but never flying. This is how many of us live. The door is open. The teachings are here. The wisdom is available. But we are so used to our patterns that even freedom feels scary. Now you may ask, how do we break the loop? The answer is not force, not judgment. The answer begins with seeing. You must see when you crave, without shame. You must see when you push things away, without guilt. You must notice when you are lost in ignorance, without panic. Awareness is the light. When you shine it on the pattern, it begins to dissolve. Slowly, gently. It's like watching clouds pass. You don't have to chase them. Just see them. Ah, that's craving. That's fear. That's my old story again. And then, you return to the breath, to the body, to this moment. This is where freedom begins, not by changing the world outside, but by seeing clearly inside. The Buddha didn't teach escape. He taught understanding. He didn't say life will be perfect. He said, see life as it is, and peace will follow. You are not broken, dear one. You are simply asleep in a dream of reactions. But slowly, breath by breath, you can wake up. And when you do, you'll stop running. You'll stop hiding. You'll start living. Let the craving come, but don't follow it. Let the fear rise, but don't obey it. Let the fog settle, and just sit. Wait. Watch. The loop loses its power when you stop spinning inside it. This is the wisdom of Buddhism, simple, deep, and gentle. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to remember who you are, beneath the pattern. And so, let this part of the journey rest in your heart. Let the words settle like soft rain on the soil of your being. We will walk forward together, and in the next step, you will see what the mind does when you finally become aware. Until then, sit quietly. Feel your breath. Watch the loop, and gently step out of it. Mindfulness as the first strike. Awareness disarms the pattern. Listen carefully, my dear one. Before you try to fix your life, before you try to escape the pain, before you try to force change, pause. Yes, just pause. You see, the truth is, most people don't know what's really going on in their own lives. They think they're making choices. But in truth, they are simply reacting. They are dancing to the rhythm of old patterns, without knowing who's playing the music. So I ask you, before trying to break anything, can you first see it? This is where the journey begins. Not with force, not with guilt, not with shouting at yourself, but with mindfulness. Mindfulness is not something complicated. It doesn't require special tools. You don't need to sit on a mountain or shave your head. Mindfulness is just this: being awake to what is happening right now, without fighting it and without running from it. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're walking down a quiet path. Suddenly, the snake appears in front of you. Your body jumps, your heart beats fast, and you freeze. But then you look again, it's just a rope. Not a snake, just a harmless rope. What changed? Only one thing: awareness. That's the power of mindfulness. It shows you what is really there, not what you believed was there. Now apply this to your life. Let's say every time someone ignores your message, you feel rejected. You start doubting yourself. Maybe I'm not important, you whisper in your own mind. That reaction, that sadness, it comes automatically, like an old song playing in the background. But what if, the moment that feeling comes, you just pause and look at it? You say to yourself, "Ah, this is the pattern. This is that familiar feeling again." You don't have to push it away. You don't have to fix it. You just see it. In that moment, you are no longer the slave of the pattern. In that moment, you become the watcher, the awakened one. That is mindfulness. Now let me tell you a little secret. Most of your bad patterns only survive because you never truly look at them. They live in the shadows of your mind. They hide behind habits, behind speed, behind distraction. But when you bring gentle awareness, like a lamp into a dark room, the shadows disappear on their own. There is a story of the Buddha. One day, a man came to him, very angry. He shouted, insulted, tried to provoke him. But the Buddha just sat there, calm, still, watching. When the man was finished, the Buddha said, "If someone offers you a gift, and you do not accept it, to whom does the gift belong?" The man was confused. "To the one who offered it," he replied. The Buddha smiled. "Exactly. I do not accept your anger." That, dear listener, is the power of awareness. When you see anger rise in your body, you do not become anger. When you see fear rise, you do not become fear. You are the watcher. You begin to realize, this is not me. This is just a moment. It will pass. Let's take another example, a common one. Many people eat not because they are hungry, but because they are anxious, bored, restless. It's an unconscious pattern. Food becomes comfort. But mindfulness changes everything. Next time you feel the urge to grab something from the fridge, pause. Just pause for 3 breaths. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is it really hunger, or something else? This simple act of asking, this small awareness, is the first strike. It breaks the loop. Now let me be clear, mindfulness is not a quick fix. It is not a magic spell. You will still feel pain. You will still fall. But now, something inside you is awake. You will start to notice the early signs, the tightening in your chest, the racing thoughts, the clenching fists. These were always there, but you were too distracted to feel them. Now, with mindfulness, you notice. And that noticing is everything. The Buddha called it sati, the remembering of the present moment. And through this remembering, we slowly become free. Let us go deeper. You may wonder, how do I become more mindful in daily life? Start small. When you wake up, don't rush to your phone. Just sit for a moment. Feel your breath. Feel the weight of your body. Say silently, "I am here." When you eat, eat slowly. Taste, chew. Notice the movement of your hand. Be with your food. When you walk, don't just move like a machine. Feel your feet touching the ground. Feel the wind. Listen to the birds. Let your senses wake up. When you speak, pause. Let the words come from silence, not from habit. These tiny moments, they add up. Slowly, you become more present. And in presence, patterns start to lose their power. Let me ask you something now. Have you ever watched a river flow? When you threw a stick into the river, it moves along with the current. It has no choice. That is how most people live, carried by thoughts, by emotions, by impulses. But now, imagine placing a rock in that river. A still, grounded rock. That rock is mindfulness. When you are mindful, the thoughts still come, the emotions still pass, but you remain grounded. You remain calm. Eventually, the river flows around you, but it does not move you. This is the strength we must cultivate. And you don't need to be perfect. Even one moment of awareness, one mindful breath, breaks the pattern just a little. Even when you fail, even when you forget, you can return. Again and again. And each return is sacred. Each return is a victory. Buddhism does not expect you to be holy overnight. It simply invites you to wake up, one step at a time, one breath at a time. Sometimes, people say to me, "Master, I try to be mindful, but I got distracted." And I smile. I say, "Then you succeeded. Because you noticed the distraction. That is mindfulness too. Even the moment you notice you have fallen, that is already arising. So do not be harsh with yourself. Be gentle. Be kind. Bring the same awareness to your suffering that you would bring to a crying child. Sit with it. Watch it. Love it. And in time, you will notice the old patterns start to fade. They no longer grab you the way they used to. They no longer control your words. They no longer lead your life. Because now, you are home. You are aware. This is what I have learned, not just through scriptures or teachings, but through life, breath by breath. So I offer it to you now, with open hands and a quiet heart. Whenever you are lost, return to your breath. Whenever you are confused, return to your body. Whenever the pattern rises, return to your awareness. This gentle returning, is the first strike that breaks the pattern. It does not destroy violently. It does not need to shout. It simply sees, and in seeing, it dissolves. Like a candle in a dark room. Like a snake turning out to be a rope. Like a life no longer lived in sleep. Wake up, dear one. The pattern ends with presence. And presence begins with you. Thoughts become chains. The Buddhist view on mental formations. Let us sit down together now, not as teacher and listener, but as two minds searching for freedom. This freedom we speak of does not come with money, power, or position. It comes in silence, in watching, in understanding the nature of thought, the invisible strings that keep us locked in the same behaviors, day after day. Tell me this, have you ever had a thought like this? I'm not good enough. Or, they always hurt me, I can't trust anyone. Or perhaps, nothing will ever change. These are not just passing clouds. These are mental formations. In Buddhism, we call them sankhara. They are the habits of the mind, shaped by our past experiences, beliefs, and reactions. And if we don't see them, they quietly become the chains that bind us. The Buddha said something very simple, yet very deep. With our thoughts, we make the world. What does that mean? It means that the way we think shapes the way we see everything, even ourselves. One person walks into a room and feels judged. Another walks into the same room and feels confident. The room hasn't changed. The people haven't changed. What's different? They're mental formations. From the moment we are children, we start collecting thoughts. Some are helpful. Be kind, learn patiently, work hard. But some are like poison hidden in sweet food. You are not worthy. Nobody will love you unless you prove yourself. If you don't succeed, you're a failure. These thoughts settle deep inside. And without knowing it, we start to act from them. Let me share with you a simple story. There was a young monk who came to his master and said, "I feel restless. My mind keeps going back to things people said, mistakes I've made, fears about the future. I try to sit in silence, but the thoughts scream louder." The master quietly poured tea into a small cup, but he kept pouring. The cup overflowed. The young monk shouted, "Stop! It's spilling." The master said, "Yes, your mind is like this cup, already full, already overflowing with old patterns. If you want peace, first you must empty it." This is what part 5 is about. We must see how thoughts become habits, and habits become identity. If we think every day, "I am anxious," then slowly, we live like anxious people. If we say, "I always mess things up," we begin to believe it, and act in ways that prove it true. These are not truths. They are thoughts repeated so often, they start to feel real. But here's the hope. In Buddhism, nothing is permanent. Not even your thoughts. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your failure. These are just formations, like clouds. They come. They go. But the sky, your true self, remains open and free. So how do we begin to break this invisible pattern of thought? First, observe without judgment. When a thought comes, "I'm too weak," or "they'll never understand me," don't try to fight it. Just watch it. Say in your mind, "Ah, a thought has come." Treat it like a bird landing on a branch. Let it land. Let it fly away. Don't grab it. Don't name it mine. Because the moment we believe a thought is me, we lose our freedom. Second, trace the root. Ask gently, where did this thought come from? Maybe your parents repeated certain words when you were a child. Maybe someone laughed at you when you made a mistake. Maybe the world taught you that success is everything, and now you fear failure like death. See this, not with anger, not with blame, but with soft understanding. Third, plant a new seed. If you've been thinking, I'm not worthy for 10 years, plant a new seed today. It doesn't have to be fake, just something neutral, gentle, and real. Try, I am learning. Or, this moment is enough. Or simply, I see myself. Repeat it not as a trick, but as a practice. Over time, new thoughts will grow. Now you might say, but I can't stop the thoughts. They come too fast. Yes, my friend, that's true. Thoughts are like waves. You cannot stop them, but you can learn to surf. That's where meditation comes in. In meditation, you are not trying to control the mind. You are learning to sit and watch. Every time a thought pulls you away, you gently return. Not with force, with kindness. Over time, this builds a new muscle, the ability to witness instead of react. In this way, thought loses its power. It becomes like a voice in the background, noticed, but not followed. Buddhism teaches us that thoughts are impermanent, impersonal, and not self. This is a great relief. You are not bound to what your mind says. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears the voice. And in that hearing, there is silence, peace, and space to choose a new way. Now, let us talk of another beautiful teaching, the 5 aggregates. According to the Buddha, the self is made up of 5 parts: form, body, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Thoughts belong to mental formations. They are just one part, not everything. This means, even if your thoughts are negative, your life doesn't have to be. Even if your thoughts are stormy, your deeper self can remain calm. But only if you don't cling to the thought. Clinging is the real trap. A thought arises, I'm not safe. We hold on to it, yes. I must protect myself. I must control everything. And that clinging becomes anxiety. But if we just let the thought rise and fall, like a wave, it passes. There's a saying in Zen, let thoughts come and go. Just don't serve them tea. That is the practice. In daily life, you can do this at any moment. When waiting in line, when driving, when lying in bed, just notice, what is the mind saying now? Watch it like a bird flying across the sky. No need to follow. No need to name. Just watch. Slowly, the grip of thought loosens. Slowly, the chain breaks. And then, you find small freedoms. A moment of silence between thoughts. A pause before reacting. The choice to speak kindly when the old pattern would lash out. These are the signs. Signs that the pattern is breaking. Not overnight. Not in one moment. But with patient watching. This is the Buddhist way. Gentle effort, steady awareness, deep compassion. Now let me ask you gently. What is one thought you've believed for too long? Is it time to let it go? Remember, the mind is a tool, not a master. Use it. Don't be used by it. This is the path of breaking the pattern, not by force, but by wisdom. Let us walk it together. Quietly, gently. And every time a thought arises, just smile inwardly and say, ah, there you are, but I am not you. We'll continue this journey in the next part. For now, sit in silence for a few moments. Watch, listen, and begin to be free. Ah, you've come this far. You're still walking. Good. Very good. That means something inside you wants freedom, real freedom. Not the kind you buy, not the kind people chase in the outside world, but the kind that is quiet, deep, lasting. Now let me tell you something important, something many people never see. Most patterns don't come from the outside. They grow quietly inside. And often, the one feeding them is the ego. Yes, ego. That little voice inside you that always wants to be right. The one that says, I already know this, or they don't understand me, or I must win, I must prove, I must protect myself. Ego doesn't shout. No, it whispers. It hides. It pretends to be your friend. But in truth, it is the builder of your cage. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt hurt because someone didn't agree with you? Or because someone corrected you? Or ignored you? That hurt comes from ego. Not your heart. Not your true self. The ego wants to be seen, respected, admired. It's always comparing, better, worse, higher, lower. And while doing this, it creates patterns. When someone praises you, you feel big. When someone criticizes you, you feel small. When you succeed, you feel proud. When you fail, you feel broken. Your peace goes up and down, like waves in the ocean, because ego is driving the boat. But the ocean doesn't mind the waves. The ocean remains deep and still. That's your true self. That's the mind before ego was born. The Buddha taught that ego is just an illusion, a story we keep telling ourselves. This is me, this is mine, this is who I am. But look closely. Who are you really? Are you your job? Your face? Your name? Are you your past? Your thoughts? The rules you play? The titles others give you? No. These things come and go. Your job may change. Your looks will fade. Your thoughts are always moving. But the watcher inside, the silent witness, the calm awareness, that does not change. But ego is clever. It tells you, you must defend yourself. It makes you overreact. It makes you hold grudges. It makes you pretend to be someone you're not. And every time you listen to it, it creates a deeper groove, a deeper habit, a stronger pattern. That's how ego feeds the bad pattern. It convinces you to react instead of reflect, to prove instead of pause, to fight instead of understand. Let me give you an example. There was once a monk who was insulted by a man in the village. The man yelled at him in the street, called him foolish, said he was wasting his life. The monk just smiled and walked away. Another monk nearby said, "How could you not get angry? He was so rude to you." The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift, but you do not take it, who does it belong to?" Ah, see? That's ego, the one who wants to take the insult, hold it, argue with it, make it part of your identity. But the wise one knows, it's not about the insult. It's about what you choose to carry. When ego is strong, everything feels personal. You see yourself as the center of every story. Why do they do this to me? Why don't they respect me? Why don't they notice me? But the truth is, most people are caught in their own ego. They don't see clearly. They don't even see themselves. So why let their blindness shake your behavior? Now you may ask, if ego is so bad, should I destroy it completely? No. That too is ego speaking. It wants to win. Ego is not a thing you fight. It's something you see through, like seeing through a mist. Once you know it's not real, it cannot trap you. The more you observe it, the weaker it becomes. The more you watch your reactions without judgment, the more you step outside the pattern. You don't need to shout at the ego. You don't need to force it to go. Just become very, very still and look. In that stillness, you'll see, the ego is just a shadow, and shadows cannot live in light. That's why Buddhist practice focuses so deeply on awareness, on sitting quietly, on watching the breath. Because in that silence, ego has no food. You start to realize, I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to impress anyone. I don't need to carry the weight of other people's opinions. I don't need to win every argument or explain myself to the world. And when this truth sinks in, oh, what peace! You stop overthinking. You stop reacting. You stop feeling like a puppet on the strings of praise and blame. You begin to act, not from the wounded ego, but from the calm center, from wisdom, from love. Now here is something practical you can try today. The next time someone says something unkind, or disagrees with you, or ignores you, pause. Take one breath. Watch the feeling rise in your body. Don't judge it. Don't act on it. Just observe it. See what ego wants to do, then don't do it. That pause is power. That moment is freedom. And when you practice this again and again, something magical happens. The old pattern, the one that made you react, argue, defend, it begins to break. A small crack appears. And from that crack, light begins to enter. Some people say ego makes them strong. But true strength is gentle. True strength is patient. True strength is not needing to shout. True strength is the power to let go. Remember, the ego shouts, but the soul whispers. So listen to the whisper. That whisper is the beginning of peace. And peace is the end of all bad patterns. We are not here to build a better ego. We are here to become free from its control. To live from something deeper, something still, something loving, something awake. Keep walking. You're not walking alone. The path may be long, but the truth is close. Just one breath away. Let this truth settle in your heart. We'll continue when you're ready. Breaking the wheel, applying the Noble Eightfold Path. Imagine a wheel turning round and round, stuck in the mud. No matter how much you push, the wheel keeps spinning in the same place. never moving forward. This is how many of us live, caught in the endless turning of bad patterns. They trap us like mud traps the wheel, and our efforts to move seem futile. But what if there is a way to lift the wheel out of the mud, to stop the endless spinning? That is the teaching of the Noble Eightfold Path. The Buddha, more than 2,500 years ago, showed a clear path, not a path to perfection, but a path to freedom. A path that anyone can follow, step by step, to break the chains of suffering and habit. This path has 8 parts, like 8 spokes of a wheel. When all 8 come together, the wheel moves forward smoothly. Let us walk this path together, in simple steps, so the wheel of your life can turn freely and lead you where you wish to go. Right view. First, we must see clearly. Without understanding, change is impossible. Right view means seeing things as they truly are, understanding that every action has consequences, that nothing stays the same forever, and that clinging to old habits brings suffering. It is not about seeing the world as good or bad, but seeing the causes behind your actions and their results. When you see the patterns you are caught in, without hiding or blaming, you take the first step toward freedom. Right intention. Next comes the heart's true wish. Right intention is about choosing kindness, letting go of anger and greed, and deciding to live with care. It is the gentle promise you make to yourself to want to break bad patterns. Without this intention, the path feels dry and empty. But with it, your steps carry warmth and purpose. Right speech. How many times have words pushed us deeper into patterns of pain? Harsh words, lies, gossip. They feed the bad patterns like fuel on fire. Right speech teaches us to speak truthfully, kindly, and with meaning. When your words come from a place of honesty and compassion, they heal instead of hurt. This changes your relationships and the way you relate to yourself. Speaking less and meaning more is often the way. Right action. Our actions are the outward signs of what we truly believe. Right action means living with care, avoiding harm to yourself and others. When you begin to act with mindfulness, avoiding stealing, hurting, or being careless, you start to break the cycle. Each small act of kindness, honesty, and respect weakens the old patterns and builds a new way of being. Right livelihood. What you do to earn a living can support or damage your peace. Right livelihood means choosing work that does not harm others and supports your growth. Sometimes, breaking bad patterns means stepping away from jobs or rules that feed old habits or cause stress. It means finding ways to earn that align with your values, however simple that may be. Right effort. This part is often the hardest. Right effort requires persistence. It means putting energy into stopping harmful habits and encouraging good ones. It is the slow work of planting new seeds in your mind and nurturing them every day. But this effort is not about pushing yourself harshly. It is gentle, consistent, and patient. When a bad pattern tries to pull you back, right effort is the hand that guides you forward. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is the clear, calm awareness of what is happening right now. It is watching your thoughts, feelings, and actions without getting lost in them. This awareness creates space between you and the old patterns. When you notice an old habit rising, maybe impatience or worry, mindfulness lets you choose a different response. Like watching a cloud float by without holding on, mindfulness is the power to observe without reacting. Right concentration. The last spoke is right concentration, which means training your mind to focus deeply and steadily. This is often practiced through meditation. With concentration, you can see the roots of your bad patterns more clearly. You gain the power to let go of distractions and calm the restless mind. A focused mind is free to choose wisely and live fully. Each of these 8 steps supports the others. None stands alone. Like a wheel, if one spoke is missing or weak, the wheel cannot roll smoothly. When you practice all 8 together, your life begins to move forward. The old patterns lose their grip. The wheel lifts out of the mud and rolls freely toward peace and happiness. But do not expect this path to be quick or easy. Change is gradual, like the slow blooming of a lotus flower in muddy water. Sometimes you will stumble. Sometimes the wheel will spin backward. This is natural. The Buddha did not promise perfection, but showed that steady practice leads to liberation. Remember, breaking a bad pattern is not about fighting yourself or being harsh. It is about kindness and understanding toward yourself and your journey. The path is gentle, but it is also powerful. It transforms from the inside out. So, when you feel trapped in old habits, stop, take a breath, remember the 8 steps, see where you are caught, set your intention to change, speak kindly to yourself, act with care, choose work and effort that support your growth. Stay mindful and focused. With time, the will turns. The mud falls away. You move forward. This is the power of the Noble Eightfold Path, a timeless way to break free and live fully. Welcome, dear friend. You have journeyed far in this path to understanding. Now, we stand before one of the most important gates, cutting through delusion. To cut through delusion means to see clearly, to pierce the fog that clouds your mind, that veils the truth of your life and the patterns that bind you. What is delusion? It is not some faraway idea. It is the quiet whisper in your thoughts that tells you things are certain when they are not. It is the strong belief that your suffering will last forever. It is the hidden assumption that I am this, I am that, and I cannot change. Delusion is the root of all patterns that trap you in suffering. Many people walk through life like sleepwalkers. They believe in stories told by their mind, stories of pain, fear, judgment, and separation. They believe these stories so deeply that they do not even realize they are stories. And so, the cycle continues, day after day, like a wheel turning endlessly. To break this wheel, you must see the stories for what they are, thoughts, passing like clouds across the sky. You do not have to grab them or hold them tightly. You do not have to believe every thought that arises. But how do you do this? How do you awaken from this sleep of delusion? Buddhism offers many techniques, gentle tools that sharpen the mind's eye. These tools help you see the world and yourself as they truly are, not as the mind wants you to see. Let me share these techniques with you, not as magic spells, but as ways of returning home to yourself. First, there is mindfulness. Mindfulness means paying attention, but not just any attention. It is a kind of open, kind, and curious attention to whatever is happening right now. When you practice mindfulness, you do not judge or try to fix. You simply watch. The breath enters and leaves. The body feels warmth or coolness. Thoughts arise and pass. The motions come and go like waves on the ocean. At first, mindfulness might feel strange or difficult. The mind may want to run after every thought, every worry. But with practice, you learn to stay present. You become the watcher of your mind, rather than the captive. This simple act changes everything. You start to see patterns clearly, not as threats, but as passing moments. Second, there is investigation. In Buddhism, this means examining your experience carefully. When a thought arises, perhaps, I am not good enough, you pause and ask, is this true? What evidence do I have? How does this thought make me feel? Does everyone feel this way? Can I be kind to myself in this moment? This kind of questioning is not meant to create more thinking or doubt. It is meant to open a space of awareness. You allow the truth to emerge gently, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. Often, you find that many beliefs are fragile, based on old wounds or fears. When you see this clearly, the grip of delusion loosens. Third, there is non-attachment. This is one of the hardest teachings, because we live in a world that encourages attachment. Attachment to things, people, ideas, even to our own identity. But when we hold on tightly, we suffer. When we let go, even a little, we find freedom. Non-attachment is not about giving up everything or becoming cold and distant. It is about seeing that nothing is permanent, no feeling, no thought, no situation. Life is change itself. When you understand this deeply, you stop chasing after things that cannot satisfy. You stop fearing loss because you know that clinging only increases pain. Fourth, compassion opens the heart. When you see your own delusions and suffering clearly, it is natural to feel compassion, kindness towards yourself. This kindness softens the hard edges of judgment and blame. You realize that all beings are caught in their own webs of confusion and pain. Compassion connects you to others and to life itself, dissolving the loneliness that feeds many bad patterns. There are many meditation practices that help with cutting through delusion. One such practice is the 4 foundations of mindfulness. Mindfulness of the body, feelings, mind, and mental objects. Each foundation helps you ground your attention in different aspects of experience, making the invisible visible. Mindfulness of the body reminds you that you live in this moment, in this breath, in this skin. Mindfulness of feelings teaches you to notice how sensations arise without labeling them as good or bad. Mindfulness of the mind helps you see moods and states clearly. Mindfulness of mental objects, thoughts, ideas, emotions, helps you recognize them as passing phenomena, not facts. Another powerful practice is meditation on impermanence. When you focus deeply on how everything changes, the body ages, feelings shift, thoughts come and go, you begin to loosen your grip on fixed ideas. You start to live more in the flow, accepting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. In cutting through delusion, patience is your best friend. The mind resists change because it fears the unknown. Old habits fight to stay alive. But with steady practice, the fog lifts. You gain clarity, not by pushing or forcing, but by gentle persistence. Remember, this is not a race. There is no finish line. The path itself is the destination. Each moment of awareness is a victory. Each time you notice a thought and choose not to follow it, you step out of the pattern. It may help to remember the metaphor of the lotus flower. The lotus grows in muddy water but rises above it, clean and beautiful. Your mind may be clouded by delusions, but you can learn to rise above them. The teachings also say that the nature of mind is clear and pure, like the sky. Clouds, thoughts and delusions come and go, but the sky remains untouched. Your true nature is this clear sky. By practicing mindfulness and insight, you let the clouds pass, revealing the open sky beneath. There is no need to fight or struggle with your thoughts. Instead, be curious. Watch them with gentle interest. Sometimes, simply observing a fear or anger can dissolve its power. It is said that wisdom grows from experience and understanding. When you cut through delusion, you see your patterns not as enemies, but as teachers. Each difficult feeling or thought is an opportunity to learn, to practice patience, compassion, and clarity. This approach transforms the way you relate to yourself and the world. You move from reaction to response, from confusion to clarity, from suffering to peace. So, dear friend, I invite you to take these teachings into your daily life. Begin with small moments, a breath, a pause, a kind thought. Practice seeing clearly. Practice letting go. Practice opening your heart. Know that every step forward, no matter how small, breaks the chains of old patterns. It brings you closer to freedom. And freedom is not a distant dream. It is here, now, in this very breath. Walk gently, walk mindfully, and keep your eyes open to the truth that lies within. The role of compassion in pattern breaking. Come sit. Let us talk. Not as teacher and student. Not as someone above or below, but as two human beings, trying to walk the path of peace. You want to break the pattern, yes? That repeating circle of hurt, of anger, of fear. You've tried discipline. You've tried control. You've shouted at your thoughts. You've tried to force yourself into silence. But still, the pattern returns. Like a shadow. Like an echo. Let me ask you something. Have you tried compassion? No, not just for others. Not just for the world. I mean for yourself. Ah, see? You paused. That pause, it says something. Many people try to fix their life by fighting themselves. I must stop doing this. I'm so stupid. Why do I always ruin things? This is not the way. This is like hitting a frightened child for crying. It only makes the fear go deeper. Buddhism teaches us, the root of all harmful patterns is suffering. Somewhere deep inside you, there is a wound. And that wound keeps opening again and again. Anger? It's usually fear in disguise. Jealousy? It's a thirst for love. Overthinking? It's the mind begging to feel safe. Running away from things? That's pain, tired of being disappointed. Now, what happens when we see these things not as enemies, but as cries for help? Everything changes. Completely. In the Zen way, we say, don't cut off your shadow. Light a lamp instead. This means, don't try to kill your pattern. Don't fight it. Don't scream at it. Don't shame yourself. Just bring light to it. Light is awareness. Light is honesty. Light is compassion. Let's take a small story. A young monk came to the master and said, I keep falling into lustful thoughts. I meditate, I chant, but they return again and again. The master smiled and said, invite them to tea. At first, the young monk didn't understand. But over time, he stopped running from the thoughts. He stopped fighting. Instead, when those thoughts came, he said to himself gently, ah, there you are again. I see you. You must be lonely. And slowly, those thoughts softened. They lost their power. Why? Because what we embrace, we understand. And what we understand, we heal. This is the rule of compassion. Not to make you soft, but to make you free. You think your problem is the pattern. But the real problem is the way you look at the pattern. You call it bad. You call yourself weak. You try to crush it. But what if it's just a part of you that never felt safe? When we meditate, when we sit in silence, we don't push things away. We allow. We welcome. We let things rise like bubbles, and then let them go. This letting go is not cold. It's not harsh. It's filled with kindness. Think of how a mother watches her child fall and get up. She doesn't yell, "You fool. Walk straight." She holds him, smiles, waits, lets him try again. Can you do that for your mind? One of the most powerful Buddhist practices is metta, loving kindness. It begins very simply. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. Not because you are perfect, but because you are human. Then you expand this. May others be well. May they be safe. May they be free from suffering. And something mysterious happens. Your heart opens. And when your heart opens, your patterns lose their grip. Why? Because the pattern survives in tightness. Tight thoughts, tight breath, tight expectations. But compassion loosens it. You begin to understand. Oh, this habit came from my past. I speak harshly because that's what I saw growing up. I chase people because I was once abandoned. I don't trust because I was once betrayed. Suddenly, the bad pattern becomes a story. And once you see the story, you are no longer trapped inside it. You become the reader, not the character. You might ask, but if I keep being gentle with myself, won't I become lazy? No. True compassion is not indulgence. It's not saying, do whatever you want. True compassion is seeing clearly and still loving deeply. When you love something, you take care of it. When you love your mind, you train it gently. When you love your path, you walk it with awareness. So today, I ask you, can you sit with your pain like an old friend? Can you smile at your fear like a visitor passing through? Can you whisper to your anger, I see you. It's okay. This is not weakness. This is real strength. In fact, the Buddha himself said, hatred does not end by hatred. Hatred ends by love. The same is true with our inner habits. A harsh mind will never become free by more harshness. A scared heart won't grow with more fear. But the moment you bring compassion, everything softens. Like ice meeting the morning sun. You might cry. Let it come. You might feel heavy. Let it pass. This is healing. This is the path. Let go of the idea that you must be perfect right now. Let go of the idea that you are broken. You are not broken. You are unfolding. Like a flower. Like a wave. Like a breath. Breaking the bad pattern is not a war. It is a return. Return to softness. Return to clarity. Return to truth. And the truth is, you deserve peace. You deserve love. You deserve to walk free, not in circles. So next time the pattern comes, don't panic. Don't push. Just breathe. Smile. Watch. And say, this again. I see you. Then choose, slowly, gently, something different. That small choice, made with compassion, is the first real break in the cycle. And with each compassionate step, the pattern begins to lose its power. Until one day, you are walking a new path. Not because you forced it, but because you healed. That is the Zen way. That is the middle path. Let us continue. Meditation as a hammer, smashing deep-rooted patterns. Sit down, my friend. Just sit. Not to do something, but to stop. To be still. You've been running all your life. From pain, from memories, from patterns that whisper, you're not enough. But today we stop. We sit. And we look directly into the mirror of our mind. Let me tell you something very simple, but powerful. Meditation is not escape. It's not about hiding from your problems. Meditation is the brave act of sitting face to face with your patterns and watching them lose their power. You may ask, Master, how can just sitting quietly change anything? Good question. The mind is like a crowded room. Thoughts come and go, noisy and wild. But when you sit in meditation, you don't run from those thoughts. You let them be. You just observe. Now listen closely. This is where the magic happens. In that watching, something shifts. You start to notice your habits. You see, this is the thought that always makes me angry. Or, this is the worry that always pulls me down. You begin to see how often your mind returns to the same places, like a river stuck in its old path. Meditation shows you the grooves your mind has carved. over years, even decades. These grooves are your patterns. Let's say you always feel unworthy. In meditation, that thought will come. It might say, "You're not good enough." But this time, you don't react. You don't fight it. You say, "Ah, there it is." And you watch. You don't push it away. You don't believe it either. You just watch it come and go. And when it goes, and it will go, you realize something very deep. You are not your thoughts. You are the space that watches the thought. This realization, that's the hammer. That's the blow to the pattern. Because patterns can only survive when you're not watching. They live in your automatic responses, not in your awareness. Meditation builds that awareness. Every time you sit, you strengthen the watcher inside you. Not the thinker, not the reactor, the witness. When the witness grows strong, patterns grow weak. Anger doesn't rise so fast. Fear loses its sharp teeth. Old pain might visit, but it doesn't stay. Why? Because you don't feed it anymore. Now, let's talk about breath. Yes, just breath. Simple. Soft. Inhale, exhale. When you meditate, you return again and again to your breath. Not because it's special, but because it's real. It's now. Patterns live in the past. They survive by reminding you of yesterday's pain. But breath brings you to this moment, where patterns cannot hold you. Think of it this way. Each breath is a broom that sweeps away dust. You don't need to force anything. Just breathe, and the mind slowly clears. You'll see the pattern more clearly, and then it won't own you anymore. Have you ever been caught in regret? Meditation helps you see that regret is just a thought. It's not a punishment. It's not truth. It's just a thought. And thoughts come and go, like clouds in the sky. The problem is, we believe them. We become them. But meditation teaches. You are the sky, not the cloud. You are the still mountain, not the wind that passes. Yes, it takes practice. It takes patience. But every moment you sit is a step away from the loop. Even one mindful breath is a tiny crack in the pattern. A crack is enough, because light enters through cracks. And light is what breaks the old and grows the new. Many people ask me, "Master, how long must I meditate to break my patterns?" I smile and say, as long as it takes to see. To see what? To see the difference between what's real and what's just noise. To see that your anger, your fear, your pain, they don't define you. They only visit. And you are the host. You choose whether they stay. Meditation gives you that choice. Not quickly, not in one day, but slowly, like a tree growing strong roots. One breath at a time, one sit at a time. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to stop thinking. You only need to be aware. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. In the beginning, your patterns will fight back. They'll say, "This is pointless," or "You're wasting time." But sit anyway. Sit gently. Sit kindly. You're not fighting the pattern. You're watching it. And what is deeply watched eventually dissolves. That is the silent power of meditation. No shouting. No effort. Just sitting. Like a mountain, unmoved. Like a candle, steady in the wind. There will be days when you'll cry in meditation. That's okay. Let the old pain leave. There will be days when you'll feel peace. Let that fill you. And there will be days when nothing seems to happen. That's good too. Because even when it feels quiet, change is happening beneath the surface. Remember, a hammer doesn't break the rock in one strike. It cracks it over time, strike after strike. Meditation is the same. Gentle, repetitive, but unstoppable. You are not weak for needing time. You are strong for returning to the practice. The Buddha once sat under a tree for days, doing nothing but watching. No battles, no escaping, just deep watching. And from that came awakening. You don't need to do what he did. But you can sit. You can breathe. You can begin. And each time you sit, a pattern weakens. A new life begins. Now, my friend, close your eyes. Take a breath. Let's sit together. And let the hammer of stillness do its quiet work. Freedom in the present, living without default scripts. Come sit down, my friend. Let the noise of the world fall behind you. Let the stories in your head take a breath. You've come far already. Through the loops of karma, the clouds of craving, the habits you've repeated for years. And now, we are here, at the doorstep of freedom. But what is freedom? Is it escape from the world? Running away from people? Owning nothing? Doing anything you like? No. Freedom, in the deepest sense, means to live this moment fully, without being trapped by the past. It means you are not controlled by old patterns, reactions, fears, or automatic thoughts. You are simply here, awake, alive, and in touch with reality. You see, most people don't live like that. They live through what I call default scripts. These are invisible rules we follow without even realizing. They come from childhood, society, past hurts, or even just repetition. A man who was once laughed at as a child might grow into a man who avoids speaking up. A woman who was once abandoned may keep choosing people who never stay. Not because they want this, but because their script is running the show. Have you ever said something and instantly regretted it? Or made a choice and thought later, why did I do that again? That's the script. It's silent, it's fast, and it's powerful. But here's the truth. Scripts are not you. They are stories, behaviors, and reactions that were written long ago. You are the awareness behind them. You are the space in which all this rises and falls. And when you start to see that, really see it, something magical begins to happen. One of the most powerful teachings of Buddhism is this: nothing is fixed. Your identity is not fixed. Your patterns are not fixed. Your life is not fixed. The Buddha said, all compounded things are impermanent. That means, everything that is made can be unmade. If a bad habit was formed, it can be broken. If pain was learned, peace can be learned too. So, how do we live in the present? How do we stop running on default? We begin with pausing. Yes, just pausing. Before you speak, pause. Before you react, pause. Before you judge, pause. Before you repeat the same argument, pause. In that tiny space between action and reaction, there is freedom. That's where the script can be stopped. It's like stepping out of a moving train for a moment and realizing, wait, do I even want to go where this train is heading? Buddhism gives us tools, simple but deep. One is mindfulness. Not some fancy technique, just pure awareness. When you are brushing your teeth, just brush. Feel the movements. Smell the toothpaste. Hear the sound of the bristles. You may think, how does this help? It helps because every moment you are present, you are not on autopilot. You are living. And when you live like that, the old patterns don't get fed. Let me tell you a story. There was once a monk who had a habit of blaming others for everything. If someone dropped a cup, he'd say, you're careless. If the soup was cold, he'd say, why didn't you heat it properly? One day, his teacher said nothing. Instead, he gave the monk a bell. Wear this around your wrist, he said, and ring it every time you blame someone. By the end of the day, the bell had rung more than 40 times. The monk was shocked. I didn't know I was doing it so much, he said. The teacher smiled. You weren't supposed to know. Now you do. You see? Awareness is everything. The moment you see the pattern, not judge it, not fight it, just see it, it starts to lose power. Another way to break default scripts is through compassion. Yes, compassion. Often, our worst patterns come from pain. And when we try to forcefully break them, we only add more pain. But when we bring kindness to ourselves, true, gentle kindness, the walls begin to soften. Try this. The next time you catch yourself repeating a harmful behavior, don't say, I'm so stupid. Say, there it is. This is the old pain trying to protect me. And then breathe. Just breathe. This doesn't mean you accept the behavior. It means you don't punish yourself for being human. You become an ally to your own growth. And that makes all the difference. Now let us talk about the power of choice. When you break a bad pattern, it's not just about stopping something. It's about choosing something better. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop chasing and start receiving. You stop blaming and start understanding. Every moment, you are given this chance. You can choose peace over anger, stillness over drama, patience over pressure, love over fear. This choice doesn't come from thinking. It comes from seeing. That's why mindfulness is not a practice. It's a way of being. Let me tell you another story. A student came to a Zen master and said, Master, my life is full of problems. I try to change, but nothing lasts. I always fall back. The master poured tea into the student's cup until it overflowed. The tea spilled everywhere. Master, stop. The cup is full, the student cried. The master looked up and said, just like your mind. You are full of past stories, thoughts, expectations. Empty your cup. Only then can new tea be poured. That's what freedom is, an empty cup, a fresh mind, a present moment, a life not lived through dusty scripts. But remember, this is not a one-time thing. Freedom is a daily practice. You will slip. The pattern will return. The script will try to write itself again. That's okay, because every time you see it, and don't act on it, you weaken it. Every time you pause, even for one breath, you rewrite your life. Every time you choose presence over pattern, you walk toward true freedom. So don't chase perfection. Chase presence. Be here, right now. If your hands are washing dishes, just wash. If your feet are walking, just walk. If your heart is hurting, just feel it, kindly. If your mind is racing, just breathe. No need to fix anything. No need to control everything. Just notice. Because when you notice, you are free. And one last thing. Freedom doesn't always feel like fireworks. Sometimes, it feels like quiet. Like saying no when you used to say yes. Like staying calm when you used to shout. Like walking away when you used to cling. Like forgiving yourself, softly, when you fail again. This is the path. You're not becoming someone new. You're returning to who you really are. The awareness. The space. The stillness behind the storm. Let others run on their scripts. You're waking up. You're choosing. You're free. Let's walk gently into the next moment. Together. Not from the past. Not for the future. But for now. From loop to liberation. Becoming the master of your life. So, here we are, at the end of our journey. Or should I say, the beginning of something real? You've walked with me through many thoughts. Many quiet truths. You've listened, paused, reflected. Maybe smiled. Maybe cried. Maybe sat in silence for a while. And now, you've come to this moment. The last part. But tell me, do you feel the change? Look back for a moment. Not far. Just a little. Remember how you were in the beginning? Always spinning in thoughts. Caught in habits. Trapped in the same loop, again and again. Maybe it was anger. Or fear. Or loneliness. Maybe it was that one decision you kept making, even though it never helped. Maybe it was that same person, that same argument, that same regret. Every time, you said, this is the last time. But it wasn't. Why? Because you were trying to change the fruit, not the root. Because you were trying to change the outside, not the inside. Because you were reacting, not reflecting. But now you know better. Through this journey, you learn something very precious. You learn to see. And that is everything. A bad pattern is like a shadow. It follows you, but it has no weight. When you shine the light of awareness on it, it disappears. Not because you fight it, but because you understand it. That is real power. Not control. Not force. But wisdom. Do you see now? The loop breaks not by shouting at it, but by stepping outside of it. You step outside by noticing. You step outside by pausing. You step outside by choosing something different, even if it's small. Sometimes, all it takes is one breath. One deep breath, before the reaction. That breath is your key. That silence is your strength. This is the heart of Buddhism. Not rules. Not religion. But deep seeing. The Buddha didn't give us commandments. He gave us understanding. He said, see the cause, and you'll understand the result. Change the cause, and you change the result. Simple words. Deep truth. The cycle of suffering is not a punishment. It's a lesson. A message. It says, look here. Heal here. Wake up here. And when you wake up, even a little, the loop breaks. This is what it means to be free. Not that life is perfect. Not that pain disappears. But that you don't keep adding to your pain. You don't keep pulling the same thread that ties you up. You don't let the past run your future. You sit, breathe, smile, and respond with presence, not with old habits. You become the master of your own life. Not with ego, but with clarity. Let me tell you a small story. There was a man who lived beside a river. Every day, he carried heavy buckets from the river to his house. He did this for years. One day, a stranger came and said, why don't you build a small pipe from the river to your house? The man paused. He never thought of that. He always believed, this is just how it's done. But the moment he saw the new way, he never went back to the old. That's what insight does. It shows you the pipe. It shows you a path that was always there, but never seen. Now you've seen it too. The way forward isn't about doing more. It's about doing differently. And sometimes, doing differently means doing less. Less fighting. Less chasing. Less blaming. More noticing. More breathing. More letting go. You don't have to fix everything in a day. Even a mountain is moved by one stone at a time. So be gentle with yourself. Patterns took years to form. They won't vanish overnight. But each moment you act with awareness. Each moment you say, I choose peace. That is one more crack in the loop. And one day, the whole thing breaks. And you step through. Into a life that flows, not fights. Into a mind that listens, not reacts. into a heart that opens, not defends. That is your gift. That is your freedom. So now, dear listener, take a moment. Sit with everything you've heard. Not with force. Just sit. Notice what has changed inside you, even a little. Maybe your breath is slower now. Maybe your heart is softer. Maybe your mind isn't racing like before. This is the beginning of mastery. And remember, mastery isn't about control. It's about choice. The power to choose presence over pattern, stillness over reaction, clarity over chaos. You have that power now. You always did. But now, you remember it. Before we end, let me tell you something important. There are so many people in the world who feel trapped, like they're walking in circles. Maybe they don't even know there's a way out. Maybe they just need a voice, a light, a guide. You can be that light. So if this journey touched you, even a little, share it. Let someone else break their loop, too. And yes, before I forget, there are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribed. Isn't that strange? So please, if you found value here, like, comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Because this is more than just a channel. It's a path, a space for truth, a space for peace. Let's grow it together. Let's keep walking, step by step, with clarity, kindness, and quiet strength. The loop is broken. Now go live your freedom.